start recording there. Hello and welcome to Arts and Wellness Cafe. Today we are very glad to be back, me, myself and I. And I hope that you have got a lovely drink that you can sip. In the next coming episodes, what we're going to be doing is also sampling some delicious tea, green tea, from I was going to say from foraging in our garden. So I've been growing a lot of plants that have medicinal effects and that are good for you in terms of the leaves. And so I'd love to be able to share that with you. I've been sharing it on my Creative Gardener channel, and I think it's nice to be able to just sit down and drink a nice cup of tea, but also drink something that's going to be, you know, it has its nutritional benefits and medicinal effects as well. Obviously, you have to be careful about any other medications that you may be taking, and also do your research, ask your, GP. I'm not a licensed physician, so this is not giving you advice to take, but I know how it makes me feel, so I can just talk about my own experience and other people who have also benefited as well. So this morning I was drinking black tea, so ordinary tea with almond milk, and I had some bay leaf in that. And I find that my immune system has had some, ups and downs, and I love the taste of bay leaf. I use it in a lot of cooking, when I'm making soups, stews and things like that, and it's got a beautiful taste if you put it with the black tea. I mean, even as a green tea, it's nice. So that's the tea over for this week. I've just finished my cup, and I've got some water to hand as well that I can be drinking. So today we're going to talk about creativity. Now, it's a very big subject, a very big area, so I want to focus on specific areas, and I've got some prompts for myself. I think it's important for us to look at our creative journey and what led us to the point that we're currently in. Like, when was it you thought to yourself, yes, I really want to pursue art? Do you call yourself an artist? And if not, why not? Are you, there's a variety of things that we can allow to impact on our journey. We've got imposter syndrome. We've got just feeling that we just haven't done enough to call ourselves that particular thing. And, you could just be in the midst of your journey and are just not comfortable to do that. But everybody can be creative. So whether you have gone to school or not, you have the ability to use creativity in your day-to-day work. And it's important for us to think about, well, how did that journey start for us? Now, I often think about, when I was in my 20s and I was doing pencil drawings, and I was creating some, drawings which I'll share. And I really loved creating portraits, and to me that was it. Like, I hadn't even explored painting, acrylics or anything, even mixed media. And so I went on in that kind of vein, kind of doing portraits, looking in magazines, images that really inspired me, I would use those. And then I started making cards, and I then got further into that and realised I needed some equipment, and so the journey began where I was buying a lot of things, buying a lot of card supplies, and that opened up a love for paper. And so I collected a lot of different types of paper, handmade paper. I made my own paper over time, but was not doing the kind of work I'm doing now. So we're talking a good 25-year journey, if not more. And that's just when, you know, if I go to that point, that I think, oh yeah, that's when it started. But the reality is it didn't. It started even younger. I was in my primary school, and I remember two teachers, and they were supply teachers. And one was in my primary school, and it was a man, and he really encouraged me, and he was encouraging about the work that I was doing. And we were only, I don't know, I can't even remember what the exercise was, but I remember drawing something, and he came and he commented on, you know, how much he liked what I was doing. And then the next one was in my secondary school, and I must have been about 13, and it was a female teacher. And I remember that what I remember of her was that she had this like really curly hair, and she used to wear these flowy skirts, and they had flowers on. And so, you know, you could, I guess in those days she would have been called a hippie. But she again was encouraging. So they were the two, and these were only supply teachers, so they were only in our class for a short amount of time. But they really, those were the two voices that really encouraged me on my work. And I thought about, I didn't even think about whether I could do this as a profession. I never thought about that then. Back in those days, I wanted to be a performer. I wanted to be a singer. So that's what I would do. I wanted to act. But as time went on, as I say, you know, I went down the route of, you know, singing in a group and all of this. And I realised later on that I really enjoyed drawing. And actually I was really good. And then these teachers came back to mind. And so I just, you know, went on that journey. And so what led me to now was an artist who had a website called Artella. And I don't know where I saw her from. She must have just popped up from somewhere. I'm not sure. But when I went on her website, I thought to myself, this is so amazing. She did an art zine on her website. And I was just like, oh wow, this just feels so comfortable. And that's important as artists, as creatives, that we share what we do. I think that we can encourage others by the things that we do. And we can inspire others to, you know, be creative. And so that was really important for me on that journey, to come across her work. And then in 2013, I came across Tamara Laporte at Willow Inn, Jenny Dow, Stampington, the magazine, Miss Stell, and then that opened up a whole gamut of, oh my gosh, there are all these artists who do mixed media. I love mixed media. Because I went into jewellery as well. Where I used to work, we were close to Soho, and there were all of these bead shops, and it was just like I was in heaven. And every lunch break I would go down there and buy a few more. So I had a lot of things. I started my bead collection back then. And yeah, I was just inspired by what I saw other people doing and other people sharing, and I wanted to express myself more in my creativity. And what I realized was that everything that I'd done up to that point was pouring into that point of, I want to be a mixed media artist. I am an artist. It took me a while to say to myself that I'm an artist, but I then started calling myself, yes, I'm an artist, when people would ask what I do, when I decided to do it professionally, and that's what I would focus on. Yeah, I realised that everything that I wanted to do, from the collecting paper, card making, journaling, fabric, jewellery, beading, clay. Everything that I had done up till that point and still enjoy doing was all about my mixed media journey, and now I'm in it and I can draw on different things. You know, I can do my fabric, I can make clay, I make sculptures, I make my own paper clay. I do a lot of things which inspire me, and I'm always making something, and sometimes at that particular moment I feel compelled to create that thing. And it turns out that, you know, further down the line, I'm doing so say if I'm working with putting some beads together, like I'm not making jewelry, I'm not sure why I'm putting these together, but it feels right. And then further down the line I realise, okay, there's a fabric piece I'm working on, and these beads in this particular order are just right for that project. So I go with impulses of, you know, wanting to make stuff, exploring, playing, experimenting. I think all of that is really important for your creative journey, and that then helps you to kind of define, you know, things that you want to explore more. Like there are certain things that I've said, oh, I'll never do this, never do embroidery, yet I'm now doing, you know, slow stitching stitch projects, and I've done quite a few wall hangings, fabric wall hangings that I've used different embroidery techniques, and it just brings me joy to create and bring the colours together. So I never say never. So as I said, it's important to think about where your journey's taken you, where you want to go, what you enjoy about that, you know, what it is you're doing, what kind of things do you want to experiment with, which artists are inspiring you. When I am inspired by an artist, I want to know everything about them. I want to go into their video library, you know, what videos have they made, what kind of, you know, work that they're doing. And when I walk away inspired, it's usually like they may be talking about a particular technique, and then I think, oh, that's something, you know, let me try that and let me see how I can incorporate maybe that particular part of it into my work. So it's great to, you know, be inspired by other artists and see what other artists are doing, speak to fellow artists, you know, connect with them, maybe even collaborate with them, and see how you can even both grow, but how you can, you know, move your work forward. There may be ways in which you, or things that you don't quite know yet, that by listening to what other artists are saying or by sharing ideas, you know, you're inspired then further down the line. So let's think about things that, you know, ways in which you can be inspired and how your creative process can be inspired. And I think for me it's about staying flexible and open to your surroundings. I'm inspired by the flowers I see in my garden, the smells, the aromas, the scents from the fragrant flowers, and that inspires me to just be still and to take it in, to just play and experiment. That then inspires me. I might be, you know, doing a particular, I might be doodling, say, you know, I allow myself a particular time in the morning and say at night or during the day to do some doodling, to just play with my supplies. It may be that an artist has shown, you know, using a particular medium, and then I think to myself, oh, so what would using this medium be like on different surfaces? What if I combine it with another medium? What would I get? So it's having that playful kind of outlook, and giving yourself the space to play again with your supplies, to sit with them, even if it's just to tidy up, to create space you know, a clear space. And that's one of the things I have to do in my space at the moment. I just need to organize it a bit. And, you know, that's all part of the creative process, because in organizing it, you're then reconnected with materials or things that you've done that you haven't seen for a while, and it's worthwhile bringing them out. And, you know, even if it's just dusting them off, you might be inspired to use it, or you might think, oh, let me play with that particular supply. So it's important to, you know, again, be flexible and, you know, look out of yourself. So, you know, you're in yourself and you're, you know, working away. You've got magazines, you've got books, it could be things that you've read. Again, it could be videos that you've watched of other artists. It could be, you know, artists talking about their work. And that's why this kind of thing is really important for us to kind of share our voices and look at some of the things that are inspiring us. It might make you think, you know, oh, you know, let me look up this artist because this person was mentioned. So it's constantly, you know, feeding your like creative child within with stuff, and seeing where that, you know, exposure takes you, where, you know, you decide to kind of rest on for that particular day. It's in order. I find, you know, the creative process for me, I need order, and that's why there comes a point in my studio where, okay, it needs to be tidied for the next stage. I'm thinking about some projects I want to work on in leather, so I need to focus on, well, I need the space to just allow that to be my focus, rather than, you know, having all different pieces of work that are saying, oh, pick me, pick me. So I like to have some order. I like to know some of the things that I'm going to be working on, or I might just also give myself that time where it's, what do you feel like working on? I think you have to do that. You have to, and that then you have to give yourself that time, because that then avoids you being distracted by saying to yourself, oh, I really want to work on that over there. If you've given yourself, you know, 10-15 minutes to play with that before you went into your main focus, you wouldn't necessarily be distracted. So it's giving yourself, for me, it's giving myself set times to do, you know, okay, this is the time that I'll do this particular kind of work. And the way my studio is situated, I also have to work with the lighting, and by 1 o'clock, the sun's beaming in here. I don't have blinds at the moment. There are things that I've got to invest in, but so all my work is done prior to that. And then if we get a cloudy-ish kind of day, which is not very often, without rain, then again in the afternoon I can come back and do other things, especially like the videoing, or when I'm videoing lessons and things like that. So I have to have a certain order about the things that I do, what I need to do, what I want to do, what the situation enables me to do, or my setup, and how I can get the most out of what I have available to me. So it's important for you to think about how you're going to feed that creative process for you, and also think about how you're inspired to create your pieces. What do you need in your environment to feel that inspiration? Now, sometimes you can't wait to be inspired. You have to just get on with it. You know, you can't say, oh, well, yes, you know, the sun has to be in a certain direction, which I just said, but the sun has to be in a certain direction, the wind has to be blowing just right before I can sit down in my studio, and I need to hear a certain type of bird in the garden before I can sit down. So that's taking it to the extreme. But you have to, whether it is that you have to have certain things around you, or you have to have certain things in place, like a tidy studio, for me, having things in order. And in order just means that they're not just glaring at me to say, I want you to experiment with me. If I want to focus on, say, a particular work that is in, I have sort of like bins that I put things in, like plastic containers, so storage containers. So I'll need the space to see what it is I'm working on. So my table has to be clear. So it's setting yourself up with the necessary tools that you'll need, and moving things out that might distract you, and then working from there. So but also you have to say to yourself, well, I do this especially writing, like I don't have to sit at a special table, I don't need a special notebook or a special pen. There are some pens that I prefer working with, but I should be able to sit down and write anywhere. If I want to, say, think about my creative journey or process and I want to write about that, then that's something I just need a notebook in hand, and wherever I park myself, I can get myself into that frame of mind and thinking. So again, it's important to not allow yourself to be swayed by, it can only happen if this condition is right. You know, you have to set up your creative practice where this is what I do between these particular times. As I said, you know, in my studio, before 12 o'clock, we have nice light in here, it's not glaring light, but after that, you know, this part of my studio, the sun is beaming in. I've yet to invest in blinds for this or make them. I was like thinking, oh yes, I can make them. Or I would have to create another space in this room where I can carry on doing what I need to do. There's enough light, and I just have an additional table, or I clear off a table. So it's looking at what you have and seeing how you can make it right for you. So I think that's a lot to kind of package, those two kind of questions, in looking at your journey as a creative, and what that has looked like up until now. Things can you remind yourself about in terms of that journey and the successes that you've had, the learning experiences, the way in which you've been inspired by others, and how you can, you know, think about where you want to go, what you want next for your creative journey. Looking at your creative process, you know, how do you kind of get yourself inspired? How do you work? Who's inspired you? And when you look at the process as a whole, how do you get yourself ready to work? What kind of things do you want in your environment? I like to work kind of spontaneously. As I say, I may know that I am working on a canvas with acrylic. So I start from there. Okay, let me just get some background colours down. I may not know quite yet the image that I want to put on, but I know the foundation, and the foundation is canvas acrylics, or canvas acrylics. I might use some inks, whatever I can. Might use some collage paper. I play first, creating a background, and then I build from that background. And I do that with the fabrics as well. I create a foundation. These are the fabrics that are inspiring me. Let me take these and run with these, and just allow yourself the room to, oh, what if I tried this? Or, okay, so I know these things, these are the colours that I want to use. And so you give yourself a bit of freedom, a bit of spontaneity within the structure that you've created. So with that, we are going to close Arts Wellness Cafe. I'm so glad you joined me, and I hope that you can put some of those areas into practice, or think about them for yourself. think about your journey and think about how you can be an inspiration for somebody else in what you do. So take care for now, stay blessed and be a blessing.